What's up, everybody? So today we're going to talk about pressure and specifically how to deal with pressure so that you close more matches, so that you're feeling a little bit more comfortable on the court and hopefully move to the next level of your game. But before we start this video, guys, if you're watching this on Instagram, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, follow me on Instagram. I will constantly produce videos like this to help you become better tennis player, better tennis parent. And without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing you have to understand that feeling pressure and being nervous is absolutely normal. It's our natural reaction when we experience a certain event that is of some importance to us. So every time there is something that's important to us, we're going to feel a little bit stressed, a little bit nervous, because in the end, there is that fear of failure, there is that fear of letting somebody down, there is that fear of not getting the job, not finishing the match, and so on and so forth. So it's a little bit of a loop. So number one thing is you have to understand that it's absolutely normal and accept the fact that it's okay to feel nervous. We're all human beings, so it's absolutely fine. Number two is I recommend that you guys try to understand and be honest with yourself. And this is where it's a little bit tricky. This is where it's a little bit tough to do. Try to understand the source of pressure. Yeah. So number two, understand where is this pressure coming from. And there can be a number of different sources. For example, the pressure can be coming from your parents. So maybe they react in a certain way after you lose the match. So you don't want to have that experience after the match you lose. That may be one of the reasons. Maybe you don't want to upset them. Just like you're a good son, you're a good daughter, and you just want to make your parents proud of yourself, of your effort, of your performance. And that's absolutely normal to make your parents, be happy about your tennis and be happy for you. So you don't want to have that experience. That's possibility. Number two, as a source, it can be your coach. Again, we're also guilty of this because for the same reason as parents, we want you guys to do well. We want you to perform to the best of your ability. So there is a chance that maybe your coach reacts in a certain way after you lose the match. That can be another thing to consider. Number three, you can be that source of pressure because maybe you're at the level where you have certain expectations of yourself and you're putting that pressure on yourself. Very important to recognize that and to have the humility to understand this and to accept this. Number four, your peers can be also a source of pressure. And again, whatever the source is, it's absolutely normal to have that. We're human beings. We're affected by other human beings in our life. The most important thing to understand, it's okay, and try to understand where is this pressure coming from. Talk to your parent, talk to your coach, try to reach out to them. Again, at the end of the day, we're here to help you guys become better players, better people. So we're here to find how can we improve your performance. And if you feel like it's something that we're doing not maybe to the best of our abilities, let us know. It's totally cool. We'll have a discussion and we'll move on from here. I'm sure most of the coaches will agree with this. But of course, if we're moving to more practical advices, number three is having strong routines. Now, the reason why it's so important, if you think about it, 75 to 85% of the match, you're not hitting a tennis ball. So most of the time, you're walking between points, between games, between sets. You're sitting on a changeover. Most of the time, you're alone with your thoughts. So it's very important to have a script for your brain to think about anything but to score. We've all heard it, that you have to stay in the present, but more importantly, you have to distract yourself from all those thoughts that may creep in into your match. And if you don't have any script, if you don't have any routines, if you don't have any strategy how to deal with this, any tricks, you're gonna fall into it. You're gonna your brain will start thinking about all these things, and of course, as a result, you're gonna feel pressure. You're gonna choke those matches because, yeah, there is a lot of training to do in that department. Just like you, just like when you go practice and you practice your forehands, you practice your backhands, you're technical, you're tactical. You go to the gym, you become stronger in a mental area. You have to also spend that time to work how you behave between points. So let's talk a little bit more in detail. What can you do as a routine? So what do I mean by that? Like, for example, it's very important that your immediate reaction after the point is going to your routine. Of course, a little bit of positive reaction, sometimes a little bit of negative reaction is acceptable. Now, if you're thinking about 25 seconds that you have between the points, if you spend 2 to 3 seconds as a reaction, that's totally cool, because you have other 22 seconds to concentrate and to refocus for the next point. So if it's really hurting to lose that point, yell it out, show your emotions. If it's once a set, twice a set, whatever. If you really like how you played your last point, same thing. For 3 seconds, show your emotions, yell your command, show your fist, to yourself, like get pumped and stuff like this. But for the next 22 seconds, it's important that you regroup and you adhere to certain routines that will help you to get your mind back in the game. For example, you can all just watch tennis matches and see what routines are, but you have to come up with your own routine. The ideal situation where it's not your coach that tells you what to do. You're the one that leading the way. The coach can just give you some examples. For instance, you can look at your strings. You can fix your hair. You can go back to your towel. You can slap your leg. Whatever that is, you're immediately going into your routine. Another reason why it's so important that routines, they create a sense of comfort, because no matter what happens on court, you always have your routine to follow. When there's something happening that we know that's gonna happen, immediately it gets us into our comfort zone. It's every time when something uncertain happens, that's when we get nervous. That's when we tend to tighten up a little bit, and that's when we start deviating from our game plan and start thinking about other things like score and what if and what if and what if and what if. So it's very, very important to have that routine, because it gives you sense of security. Okay, so every time you lose or win the point, that routine will be there for you. Super important. So to sum it up, you should have a script, so you know what to do between points, between games, between sets, and during your changeover when you're sitting down. Okay? Now, if you're a little bit younger, if you're maybe between 10 to 12 years old and you're just, like starting your competitive tennis career, I highly recommend to try it out, to think about whatever you want, absolutely whatever you want. It's absolutely irrelevant what you're thinking about, other than the score, other than, what might happen if I lose, if I win, whatever. So if you're singing a song that you like, it's proven to be working very good, again, for somebody who's just starting, because you're learning in the same way when you're getting a little bit more experience, and instead of thinking about the score, instead of going through all these thoughts, you're giving yourself a specific task to do. Like, you're thinking about how to construct your point. Okay, I'm going to serve out wide. I'm going to go open court to the next one. I'm going to serve and volley. Okay, I'm going to return the second serve outside of middle. Then I'm going to take my forehand. So by you spending time to think about what's going to happen, how you're going to plan your point, how you're going to construct your point, same thing, you're distracting your brain from what's really happening, and you're zoning in on this little event that's happening in the moment, and this creates, again, comfort, because you know what to expect from that point, in a sense, and you create less importance. what you can do, guys, is you can expose yourself to other sources of pressure on purpose outside of tennis court. It can be whatever makes you feel uncomfortable, and you usually know what makes you feel uncomfortable. It can be to take that Wonderland ride that you've always been afraid of. Talk to the person you like. It's always frightening for teenagers in general, but especially in this day and age when everything is done by the phone and it's so easy to just like pick up your phone and just like and text. Always easier, but learn how to overcome your fears, fight through these uncomfortable situations, put yourself out there. And once you learn the pattern, once you understand that, well, like I just did that and nothing bad happened, even if you fail, at the end of the day, nothing bad happens. You're gonna take these tennis situations a little bit easier, just a little bit. It's still gonna be tough. You still have to overcome this on court, but it's gonna be just a tad easier. Try to expose yourself to something completely different, completely something that you haven't tried before. It can be going camping. It can be spending a night in a tent. It can be just trying a different sport. Trying something new puts you out there, and same thing, you experience, a little bit uncomfortable because you're not as good at it as in tennis, for example. So it teaches you a little bit of humility, and it also teaches you how to accept that situation and how to work through this. So it's very important that you try to do that. Another thing, and you might think that it's not as significant, but I think it's very important as well, that try to become more responsible off court. By you taking on more responsibilities off court, like home chores, or trying to be a little bit more accountable when it comes to your tennis, try to be more a little bit more organized when it comes to your tennis, will give you this understanding that if you don't do it, nobody will do it. And with that mentality, it's going to be easier for you to conquer your own fears, overcome yourself, and in the end, become a better person and a better tennis player. Yeah, so if we talk about more responsibility, a few things that come to mind right away: help your parents more, have more chores at home. If you have an opportunity, like do a part-time job. I'm not talking about like to do 20 hours or 10 hours. Of course, it's impossible, but do like maybe 2 hours a week, like 3 hours a week. It can be a volunteering experience, but it teaches you more than you think. You're gaining a lot of experience, how to deal with yourself, how to deal with your emotions, how to know yourself better. The better you know yourself, the better your tennis will be, the better problem solver you will be on the tennis court. So that's why it's very important. Take on more responsibilities in terms of your tennis. Organize your practices. Like go outside, do your own workouts, serve on your own. Like do your stretching, do your routines and stuff like this. It's very important for me to spread the word and to spread this knowledge to as many people as possible, so that maybe it helps one tennis player become better at tennis, become a better person. So at the end of the day, I'll feel like I did my job. If this was helpful, guys, please leave a comment below, like this video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, follow me on Instagram for more content like this, and spread the word. If you liked it, put it on your story. Like I would appreciate if you tell to your friends, tell to your parents to subscribe. This means a lot to me because it's something that I've always wanted to do without realizing it. I really like teaching. I really like helping others. So this whole thing that I started is really fulfilling on its own. But if I know that it's valuable, if I know that it's helping somebody, it will motivate me to continue to do more. So yeah, let me know, and I see you guys next week.